Pulling a tanker in Texas is a high-stakes job, especially when you are dealing with the 2026 updates to medical certification and the expanded drug testing panels. Whether you're hauling fuel out of Houston or milk through the Panhandle, understanding liquid dynamics is what keeps your wheels on the pavement. Let's look at the essentials for your Texas tanker. Endorsement. What is liquid surge? The movement of liquid in a partially filled tank. This movement can create a powerful force that pushes the truck during starts and stops. Next question. Why is a tanker more likely to tip over? It has a high center of gravity. The weight is sitting high up, and the shifting liquid makes it much easier to roll in a turn. Let's move on. What is the purpose of baffles? To reduce front-to-back surge. These bulkheads with holes allow liquid to flow but prevent it from slamming into the front or back. Next point. What is an unbaffled tank usually called? A smooth bore tank. These have no internal walls, making them easier to clean but much harder to drive. Let's keep going. Which type of tank is the most difficult to stop? An unbaffled, smooth bore tank. Without baffles, the liquid surge is much more violent and unpredictable when you hit the brakes. Next question. What is outage? The space left for liquid expansion. Liquids grow in volume as they warm up, and you need space in the tank to prevent a rupture. Let's move on. How much outage is generally required for most liquids? At least 1%. Always check the specific expansion properties of the liquid you are hauling to be sure. Next point. Why are milk tanks usually unbaffled? For sanitation, cleaning reasons. Baffles have too many nooks and crannies where bacteria could grow in food-grade loads. Let's keep going. When should you be most concerned about side-to-side surge? In a curve or on-ramp. Baffles do not stop side-to-side movement, which is the primary cause of tanker rollovers. Next question. What is the danger of a half-full tanker? It has a high amount of surge. A partially filled tank allows the liquid to gain more momentum before hitting the tank walls. Let's move on. How should you brake a tanker to maintain control? Use controlled or stab braking. Sudden, hard braking will cause a massive surge that can push your truck into an intersection. Next point. What happens to the liquid when you stop an unbaffled tank? It hits the front and pushes the truck. This surge push can actually move a stopped truck forward several feet if you aren't ready. Let's keep going. When driving a tanker, you should look ahead, 12 to 15 seconds. Extra lead time is mandatory because your stopping distance is so much longer and more variable. Next question. What is the best way to take a curve in a tanker? Slow down before the curve. You should be at your safe exit speed before you even start to turn the steering wheel. Let's move on. How does liquid surge affect following distance? You should increase it. Surge makes your stopping distance unpredictable, so you need a much larger safety cushion. Next point. What is the risk of dense liquids, like acid? The tank is full by weight but half full by volume. The high density means you hit your weight limit while the tank still has plenty of room for surge. Let's keep going. Why should you check the manhole covers during inspection? To ensure they are closed and not leaking. A loose manhole cover can lead to a spill or a dangerous loss of pressure, vacuum. Next question. What is a compartmentalized tank? A tank divided into several smaller tanks. This allows you to haul different products or smaller amounts with less overall surge. Let's move on. If your tanker starts to skid, you should take your foot off the gas and stay off the brakes. Braking during a tanker skid almost always makes the situation worse. Next point. How much more distance does a tanker need to stop than a car? Up to 2 times as much. The combination of high weight and liquid surge requires massive amounts of stopping space. Let's keep going. Why is an empty tanker potentially dangerous? It can bounce or be affected by crosswinds. Without the weight of the load, the suspension is stiff and the high profile catches the Texas wind. Next question. What should you do if you must steer quickly to avoid a crash? Avoid braking while steering. Braking while making a sharp turn is the fastest way to roll a tanker over. Let's move on. What are the signs of a leaking tank? Wet spots, puddles, or a drop in volume. Always perform a walk around to look for any signs that your cargo is escaping. Next point. When loading a tank, what is expansion? Liquid growing in volume as it gets warmer. This is why you never fill a tank to 100% capacity. It needs room to grow. Let's keep going. What should you do with the discharge valves after loading? Ensure they are closed and locked. Double-checking your valves is your primary defense against an accidental road spill. Next question. In Texas, a tanker endorsement is needed if a single tank is over 119 gallons. Any individual container of this size used for liquids or gases triggers the requirement. Let's move on. A tanker endorsement is needed if total aggregate capacity is 1,000 gallons or more. If you have multiple tanks that add up to this volume, you must have the endorsement. Next point. What is the primary cause of tanker rollovers? Speeding in curves. Centrifugal force acting on a high center of gravity is a recipe for disaster. Let's keep going. Why are baffles not effective against side-to-side surge? They only run horizontally across the tank. Baffles are designed to stop the slosh from front to back, not side to side. Next question. What is the danger zone when unloading? The area around the hoses, valves. This is where high-pressure leaks or chemical splashes are most likely to occur. Let's move on. What should you use to check the level in a tank? A dipstick or sight glass? Never rely on feel or sound when checking how much liquid is in your tank. Next point. What is the center of gravity? The point where the weight is concentrated. In a tanker, this point is high and shifts constantly, making the truck unstable. Let's keep going. If you are hauling hazardous waste in a tank, you need tanker and hazmat endorsements. Hauling hot loads requires both specialized knowledge and the X combined endorsement. Next question. How do you verify the tanker is compatible with the cargo? Check the specification plate. Some tanks are not rated for corrosive or high-pressure materials. Let's move on. What should you do if a valve freezes? Use a warm, not hot, method to thaw it. Direct high heat can damage the seals or cause a dangerous pressure spike. Next point. When is surge the most dangerous? On slippery or icy roads. When traction is low, the push from the liquid can easily break your tires loose. Let's keep going. Why is it important to know the weight of the liquid? It affects the center of gravity and stopping distance. Different liquids, like water versus fuel, have very different weights and behaviors. Next question. What should you do if you see a spill? Secure the area and notify authorities. In Texas, you are legally required to report spills of certain sizes and materials immediately. Let's move on. How many seconds should you wait for the liquid to settle after a stop? A few seconds. Don't jump out of the cab immediately. Wait for the surge to finish its movement. Next point. What is the most dangerous liquid to haul in a smooth bore? One that is very thin, like water or milk. Thin liquids move much more quickly and create more violent surge than thick ones. Let's keep going. What is the X endorsement on a Texas CDL? A combination of tanker and hazmat. This is the gold standard for high-paying fuel and chemical hauling jobs. Next question. When checking the trailer support, landing gear, ensure it is fully raised and the handle is secure. Low landing gear can catch on railroad tracks or high spots in the road. Let's move on. If a tank has baffles, does it eliminate surge? No, it only reduces it. Even a baffled tank will still have some movement that you must account for while driving. Next point. How should you approach a steep downgrade? Downshift to a low gear before starting down. You want the engine to help control your speed so you don't overwork your brakes. Let's keep going. What is the purpose of a vent on a tanker? To prevent pressure buildup or a vacuum. Without vents, the tank could implode while unloading or rupture while sitting in the sun. Next question. Why should you never tailgate in a tanker? Surge makes stopping distances unpredictable. You can never be 100% sure how many feet it will take to stop until the liquid settles. Let's move on. When unloading, why do you need a grounding wire? To prevent static electricity sparks. Static buildup during the flow of liquid can easily ignite flammable vapors. Next point. What should you check on the intake hoses? For cracks, leaks, and secure connections. A failed hose during loading or unloading can cause a massive environmental disaster. Let's keep going. If the tanker is divided into compartments, should you load them all? It depends on weight distribution. Check the manifest. Improperly loading compartments can make the truck nose heavy or tail heavy. Next question. What is the final step after loading a tanker? Double-check all valves and manholes are sealed. Your final walk around is the most important part of ensuring a leak-free trip. Great work on the tanker.